AskReddit by Hotace0123. Gamers of Reddit, what video game didn't live up to the hype? Cube World, sigh. That game really was a tragedy. I remember buying the alpha as a kid because everyone was hyping the game up to be the next big thing after Minecraft and it was fun. Then near radio silence for nearly a decade and everyone just assumed the dev took the money and ran. Then he comes back after nearly 10 years with a beta, which was, gameplay wise, worse than the alpha. Jump Force. How can you have access to that many cool characters and still suck so bad? Because the entire game was sold on just the cast, there was no love put into the gameplay itself. It was a money grab. For me it was Brink. Promised a lot and it partially delivered, but the player base just wasn't there and it didn't gain any momentum. This was the first, and only, game I ever pre-ordered from GameStop. Edit, so the answer to these types of questions will always and unequivocally be Brink for me. My 2 cents is Anthem and the Avengers. Man, Anthem had so much potential. There was a lot about that game that felt really good, there was just zero content. Star Fox Zero. I should have realized it when they bundled another game with it, and had a review embargo for the game. The weird control system took away from the game, making it seem harder than flying a real plane. Yeah, a shame since I think they nailed the look of it too. Even ignoring the controls though, the levels and content just felt nowhere near the quality or replayability of Star Fox 64. Jump Force flopped so hard. A great premise, shonen jump crossover fighting game, and a pretty damn good roster to back it up, ultimately hampered by some of the most boring gameplay the anime arena fighter genre has to offer and perhaps the worst art style they could have chosen. Anthem. Initially I thought it would be Monster Hunter like But You Are Iron Man. That would have been great. That game had such a good concept going for it but horrible execution. Every single Sims 4 pack, even the great ones, can't compare to their ads. Yeah, it's wild how not one of the packs are good. They are also overpriced for what they offer and the base game barely ever gets touched. I so hope for a new game but I don't have faith in EA Maxes to make anything but a wasteful cash grab. For me it's gotta be Brink. Not sure if many people remember it but it was touted as a revolutionary new shooter with parkour style movements and turned out to be a piece of crap. Worst part, I really like that game. The gunplay was good and the mechanic that different body types have access to different mobility, weapons, and health created some interesting gameplay options was pretty cool. It's just a shame it didn't catch on because I was about it. Daikatana. John Romero failed to make anybody his bitch. I was going to say this. Before all the games listed in this thread, Daikatana was the granddaddy of all overhyped games. Sims 4 compared to the rest of the series. I want a game with Sims 4 graphics, Sims 3 world, Sims 2 gameplay and interaction, and Sims 1 music. Evolve. I remember a pretty big hype for that game, only for it to die literally 2 days after release. Thing about that game is it was decent too but they had to ruin it with some of their mechanics like letting the monster player constantly run from the hunters and endless microtransactions. Once you got a game with a coordinated team of hunters and a good monster player it was actually fun. Duke Nukem Forever. They were better off leaving it as a meme. Halo Infinite. Great bones, zero meat. What a disappointment. Still no Forge, co-op, custom games browser or mission select replay nearly a year after launch, and they just announced the cancellation of split screen co-op. Total disgrace on 343's part. Didn't players find a glitch that allows split screen with up to 4 players? The players implemented the split screen feature better than the game studio lol. Edit, I've just been informed that the split screens feature was already in the game. 343S just cancelled it. So the players glitched it. Honest mistake on my part. Deleted. How? New world. Insanely hyped and finished pre-alpha game. I basically lost my girlfriend to this game. We started playing together and I quit after a few weeks cause it was a buggy suckfest. She loves it, and now runs a PvP guild that server hops every month or two looking for challenges because so few people play it. It's all she does now. Battlefield 2042. Battlefield 2042. I was really disappointed with it and couldn't even finish the free trial you get with EA Play. A real shame as I really enjoy the Battlefield series which started way back with the first one 1942. I hope they go back to the drawing board with the next one and make a proper Battlefield game. I've since gone back to playing BFV. I went back to BF1. RDR2 Online. Before I get hate, RDR2 single player is nothing short of a masterpiece in cinematic gaming. That being said, RDR2 Online was a pelt hunting simulator. I was hoping it would be my next addiction, but there really just wasn't much to do. Agreed. I think RDR2 story might be my favorite game ever, but the online was mailed in. An old one, but Driv 3R. The golden oldie, Driv 3R. Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I only played the beta on PS4 but, after Wildlands, I expected a great game. But the beta, no matter how much not the final product it was, the world felt empty, and I didn't feel in the game as much as I did in Wildlands. Now it seemed to have been changed. I'll give it a try, but I don't expect much. Wildlands was so good too. But Breakpoint just didn't have the variety of mission solutions. Everything could be beaten by just slaughtering everyone. I was so disappointed. I'm still salty about Devil May Cry 2. I recently got all the DMC games and played through them all with my boyfriend at the same time. When we hit 2 it was just, yeah, we speedrun that. 3 was such a fucking redemption though. And we got 5, which I absolutely love. Shenmue III. Been a fan of the Shenmue series since the release of the first one back on Dreamcast. I kickstarted Shenmue III the day the Kickstarter went live. I got the HD re-release of I and II on PS4 and 100% platinum them both before playing III. Then when I finally got II I couldn't even finish it. The hunger stamina mechanic killed it for me. Seen spoiler videos on how the story goes for II and in all honesty it feels like such a filler episode where the story barely advances. As a fan I waited so many years to see what happens next to only receive the worst game of the franchise. Same can be said about Mighty No. 9. What stings is that I was a backer of the game too and my actual name is in the credits and I think the game was terrible. Shenmue was never my thing. Been a PlayStation boy my entire gaming experience, but watching Super I Patchwolf's video on the pain that game brought him helped me understand. Damn, has any other sequel shit the bed that hard after waiting that long? Fallout 76. With 16 times the detail. Fallout 76 just goes to show why you shouldn't skip 72 games in your series, RT game, while playing a perfect recreation of Fallout 76 Inside Dreams, a game maker game. Halo Infinite. Such a disappointment. I was so hopeful 343 had learned after the dumpster fire that was 5 and I tried so hard to like it but the lack of any real content, plus Forge and Coop being delayed to hell and back, was the final nail in the coffin for me. I've played every Halo since launch and this is the first time I didn't purchase the game. I just played it on Game Pass. Huge bummer all around. Basically every game Peter Molyneux was allowed to do a public investor's pitch, like Black and White, Fable and Goddess. They are still good, but man did he promise the stars. Peter Molyneux mostly made good games that he swore would be the second coming and revolutionize the entire industry and also achieve world peace and end hunger. Definitely Anthem. What especially bugs me about it is the fact that EA put as much resources as possible into it, even though we now know that it was in vain, indirectly neutering for example Mass Effect and Remeda of its potential. If you're gonna fuck games up just to get a certain game ready, then it should at least be a good one. Spore was going to totally change the civilization growing paradigm, and it was meh. Man, Spore, this one is a heartbreaker for me. As much as it was such a letdown for me personally, my elderly motherfucking loved it. Loved it. She never got bored with it. She would spend hours, hundreds of hours in the space phase with a single creature. When she died in 2020, I had to go through her computer to look for logins and check for important emails, etc. It was still there and I opened it up. She was still regularly playing it before she passed. Now I've made myself sad. Miss you, Mom. New World. I've recently returned, but it's got like 20k peak players. It was a million with queues so long people would wait numerous hours to play at launch. It had so much potential, but the devs were inept and the game was released well before polished. Honestly, the biggest letdown of all time continues to be Spore for me. Spore was the first big one I remember and I stopped getting hyped for games afterwards. To put it into context, Spore was created by Will Wright, who created SimCity, The Sims and other absolute classics. He had planned a complex management and strategy game over multiple stages of evolution of your civilization: Spore Stage, Animal Stage, City Stage, Galaxy Stage. The procedural designs of your civ were supposed to change its functionality, same with buildings and starships and stuff. The universe was supposed to be freely manipulated by you, destroying or terraforming entire planets and solar systems as you wished. All different parts yet challenging in a way. Due to the success of The Sims and Max's being acquired by EA earlier, they wanted to turn it into a cash cow however, and made it as bland and easy as possible to appeal to kids or normally non-gamer types. What got released was a shadow of what was planned though. Just the demo videos and presentations that were released earlier were wildly different. The entire game was just a collection of minigames and nothing you did really influenced anything much. I was extremely disappointed to say the least, as were many people.